So, this should be today's stream kicking off. Let me just. Okay, good. Got sound. I'm not very professional at this streaming stuff just yet. I need to close the door and I'll be back in 2 seconds. Okay, so I've now got headphones in so that, unlike last time, I can hear if there are problems with the audio. Now the distracting thing is I can hear myself in the screen with a delay. That's going to get really frustrating to work with. What I'm going to have to do, take the headphones out and listen to them as and when I need. So today's stream, there's a couple of exciting things. Firstly, let's take a look at what I'm printing today. So this is the printer working on a. Oh, it doesn't look good. I don't like that filament peeling up at the back there. I need to take a look. I need to take a look at that. Okay, so this is why we have a camera viewing the print, so I can see when there's errors about to happen, and I can catch it in real time. And that way, we prevent disasters from happening. What was happening there, I don't know if you saw it, but along the right-hand side, you can see these long straight lines. That's where the printer is doing a flow calibration. So it's testing how readily it prints the material. It tests the material. But a strand from the flow calibration was straying across into the print, and it was just about to get caught. And if that then blobs up and joins in with the other layers, it can turn into a real mess. This particular printer is meant to have AI error detection, but I don't know how kind of diligent that AI detection is, so I tend to make sure I can view the stream and intervene if I can. What I'm printing today is a filter. It's a filter for cleaning the air inside the printer enclosure, because I bought some new filaments the other day, including ABS, which is known for putting out some toxic chemicals. So I'm going to buy a little filter with a fan, which helps to clean the air, capture some of those nasties, and what I'm printing here is the housing for that filter. It's called the Bento Box. I can include a link to the model in the description. But let's get to the exciting thing that I'm working on today, which is something entirely different. So the other day at work, I was going through some things that were being thrown out by the other offices. And I found an enormous chair leg. I don't know if my background filter is blurring that out. Let me see if I can do something about that. Again, I'm learning how to be a professional streamer here. So this is my enormous chair leg. It's really heavy. It's huge. It's a solid piece of wood. And I just saw it and instantly thought, well, this has to be a project. I'm thinking maybe a stool or a table or a lamp, something. First, what I need to do is get it modeled up in CAD on the computer so that I can then do something with it and try and design with it. So tonight's task is to get this modeled up in CAD. So it's a bit of a reverse engineering job. Reverse engineering a chair leg from a Spanish galleon or wherever on earth that's from. So first I'm going to open up Rhino, and then once that's opened up, I'm going to get it linked to the stream. Wouldn't it have been nice if I had this prepared? Do excuse. Aha, there we go. So, firstly, I need to upload an image because I took a picture of this galleon chair leg, and I'm going to use that picture as the kind of template to draw from in the program. You'll see where I'm coming from in a moment. I import a picture, go to my downloads, you'll see this. Now, that picture quality is not great, but it's just enough to see the dimensions. So that's fine. Let's move that to the origin. Move. Oh. Okay. I'll move it to the center of the world. I can't actually see the origin. 0, 0. There we go. Now I've got my I don't see me in the stream. Yeah, I've got my tape measure here. I've got chair leg that I'm measuring up. You're gonna see me doing some quick sort of dimension checks. That's about 61 centimeters. $610 meters. So we need to scale that from a grid snap off there to there. Such that it is 610. That's roughly. Make this a bit more accurate. From the end of the ruler in the image to yeah, I got a really blurry image here, didn't I? That says 38, right? 38, 15 inches. That adds up. Now, let's check the distance. End of that line. 328. A little bit too small, the image. Scale. From there to there. 380. Did that what I wanted to happen? So from the 38 mark, measure the distance from there to the end of the ruler. 379.956. I think that's accurate enough. So I need to see my layers. Why did my sidebar go? Where's my... I'm currently missing my tools on the right hand side. There's meant to be a window here that shows me my layers and properties. Or if this is a little bit boring, but I need to see what I'm doing. Where? Oh, no, this is silly. Aha. Ta-da! Right, brilliant. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant. So this picture, I'm going to change layer and send it to reference because it's a reference image. I don't want to accidentally move it around like that. So I'm going to lock that layer and now I can't accidentally damage it. Brilliant. Let's check up on the printer. No errors there. That's looking good. We can get back to working. Now, this was a terrible image, but it's what we have to work with. I'm going to use in the wireframing layer that I've got here an interpolate curve. Interpolate curve means wherever I click, I don't know how easy that is to see. Change the color. Let's make it green. That's a bit clearer. Wherever I click, there it puts a point, and the curve has to pass through every single point. And I can keep going and so on. So I'm going to use that tool, trace out this, see how that goes. Start there. This could almost be quite meditative. Okay, maybe I'm going to do a different approach. No, where's the... Yeah, interpolate curves. We can always edit the curve later. I can't see in this photo how tight that bend is. I think it's tighter than I thought it was. There we go. That looks like it's a bit better. So I want to try and aim for the top edge here and cut down into it. I can see how I could go for either this bottom edge or this top edge, because it has depth. I'm going to use the reflection where there's a kind of radiused edge as a guide to see where that top is. And we're going to go round and round and round. Now this bit is pretty boring, so this might be an opportunity for me to talk about why it is I'm doing what I'm doing. Right, I'm going to terminate that curve there. I'm going to do a new one starting from there. So I'm thinking with this project, I don't know whether it's going to be a chair or a side table or a lamp. Feel free to leave comments and make requests for what you'd like to see. But my gut feeling is that it's going to be a little stool. Very robust bit of wood. Don't see why it couldn't be stool. Just taking a look at the model to see what point I'm at. Round. Yes, that's a hard. That's a hard corner. So we're gonna finish that there and do a new curve. So let's say it's a stool. I'm thinking what would be interesting is to 3D print a seat or 3D print the seat to attach on top. And instead of doing it in a style that's in keeping with the very old-fashioned looking table leg, I think I might do some crazy sculptural mad looking thing just to contrast, you know, the old and the new. Combining to make something not quite as good as either. I'll tell you what, this is quite relaxing. Just clicking around in spirals. Now I can already see this curve is a bit wonky, so I might need to adjust it later if I want to get a really accurate one. But actually, I don't need a really accurate model here. I just need to get it in CAD so that when I design the features that are going to interact with it, like the seat or the foot or whatever, that I can actually work with it on the computer. So it doesn't need to be, all the decorative elements on this don't need to be perfect. Important to remind myself, done is better than perfect. No. What was it? Take off object snap. That's what OSNAP stands for, object snap. Now, this has got quite an annoying... Can you see how the curve is coming in kind of at one angle of attack and then flexes out in the other? And that's going to cause me problems. So what I'm going to do is just use a lot more control points here, which then might give me a sort of raggedy, vibrative edge. And I can fix that later by trimming it back and blending it, but for now that's going to get me around this sort of curve that changes direction problem. Yeah, when I saw this being thrown out the other day, I thought, oh, I'll have to take that. And I felt very I felt justified when I came home because I was carrying this on the train, taking up a lot of space, and as I was walking home from the station, someone said, "What are you carrying?" I have to ask. We got into a conversation and they said, "Oh, that looks amazing. It could be a lamp or even just a work of art on its own." So a stranger complimented me on my piece of trash. Okay, I'm going to turn object snap back on to locate that little corner. Ding. Lovely. So we now captured the inside area, as it were. I think so. Now let's do the outside. That's obviously going to be a straight line. Now I think this part at the top does need to be quite accurate. Let's measure exactly how long that flat surface. Oh god, this thing's heavy. At 98 minutes. 98. Oh, that looks shorter than how the picture presents it. Bit of an issue. Okay, let's do distance from that far edge to that edge. Just kind of measure what the breadth is. So according to this, it's 3 to 5 millimeters. Breadth. Only 25.5 centimeters. My scale is off. I thought I'd scaled that. Must be something to do with the perspective in the photo or something, but the scale's a bit off. So we're going to unlock that. We're going to select everything. And let's do this another way. If I measure what it is, the real world. So getting a width of 226 centimeters and a height of 531 millimeters. Write that down. Now, for those of you who are my diligent and consistent fans, you might be asking where the funnel from last week has gone. What happened to the funnel I was modeling last week? And I didn't get around to finishing it, is what happened to it. And then between then and now, I found a table leg and decided to start modeling that instead. But I will finish up that funnel because it would be really useful for preventing water damage in Grandad's conservatory. But I just found an exciting looking table leg first, so I thought I'd make a start on this and then finish the funnel. So what I'm going to do is progress this a little bit by making a rectangle 260 by 531. That's the size it should be. So we're a bit off. Now let's say everything apart from that box scaled scaled from there to about there and bring it back to If I still have my Photoshop subscription, I might be able to flatten this image in a way that makes a bit more sense. You're wondering what I'm eating on this stream? I've got some dark chocolate and I've got some chamomile tea. Okay, I'm gonna select that and that, send it to the reference layer. I'm gonna close that, lock that. I'm gonna finish this and then scale it later. So what did I measure that as? 98. All right, that looks more like it. Back to the interpolate curve. Now, once this is modeled up in here, this might even become part of a sort of a mini series as we develop this bespoke product. Now let's see what the distance on that bottom flat is. I make it 76. So we do a straight line starting from that point in that direction, 76. Okay, a little bit shorter than expected, but it's fine for now. Interpolate curve. Up from there. Boop. Excellent. So we've now got a bit of a profile. Let's rotate. That. I want it level. Your line from there is level. Oh, look how close that was. I'm going to move this control point down. That control point, delete it. Delete that guideline. Now we have two flats that are level. Let's just check how long that is. 76, that's perfect. Now let's take that whole thing and scale it so that it fits within our box. Yeah. I think for developing this as a stool, more important that I have the height accurate than the width at this kind of decorative level. So that's fine. What I'm going to do now is start joining these curves together. Join. We can actually hide that reference layer. I wonder if just have those both select by extrude self-intersecting. Where are these? Where do I have the self? Find self-intersecting curve, Rhino. Oh, look at that. There's a just had to do a quick Google to see if there was a relevant command. That is, so that is a self-intersecting curve. Or where? There's going to be a corner somewhere that it doesn't like. There we go. Trim that. Oh. Okay, here's what we're going to do. A line from there to there. Trim those. And then blend curve from there to there. Just a tangency curve. Join. Okie. Select self-intersecting curve. Still selecting this. Where else? So maybe that's our problem. Trim, edge. There we go. That must have done it. Select. Self-intersecting curve. Nothing. Great. Solve that problem. So the computer's smart enough to pick up when there's geometric errors like that, but it's not quite smart enough to show them to you. Extrude curve. Brilliant. Now, if I put solid, is it going to cap it in a smart? No, not going to understand. So the space that's being extruded, if we look at this model, is this kind of rim, but the rim pokes out by, it's proud of the bulk material by about 4 mil. By about 4 mil. Let's use 4.5. 4. 4.5. Let's say that's poking out by 4.5. It's also thick, so it's standing proud of this face by 4.5 mil, but it's also kind of got a rim that's about 11 mil thick. What I'm going to do is extrude this thing by 11 mil in, and take it from there. Extrude curve by 11 millimeters. And hit that curve. Yes. Cap. No, it didn't. Didn't like that. Fine. What we do is we rectangle, cover that whole thing. Planar surface. Delete the rectangle. That plane Good. We're then going to copy that from that point down to corresponding point below. I'm going to flip this surface. You can see how it's red on one side, and if I flip, it turns green. That's because in this program, all surfaces have an inside and an outside. And it's important to get them right, otherwise you have inside-out models. Trim. Trim would be helpful if I could type. Let's trim these outside surfaces first. Not liking like this. Trim that. Good. Trim that. It's not liking it. Why are you not doing this? Let's bring that down. And hopefully that's now touching. Make sure it's covered. Let's try this again. It's missing it. Right, this is really dissatisfying, but there we can cut corners and we can just move that in by 0.1. So it's poking out a little bit on the other side. Trim. Right, we're really getting into some delicate that stuff. Is there a 0.1 lip? There is. Trim. Need to get rid of that red lip. It's really not liking it. Why? Is it all the way around? It is all the way around. Alright, let's try this at a different time. Let's bring that back down by 0.1. So then that's level again. And then let's try and 2 curves, 2 surfaces, 1.7. I just want the poly surfaces. That, and underneath that. Join. One closed poly surface. Excellent. That's what we're looking Let's change that layer. Put it into working. Oh no, let's put it in surfaces. There we go. We can lock that off. Now. The overall thickness thing is 1.9. Other side. 1.9. If I take that corner, I bring it 119. 119. Let's open up our surfaces layer. I'm going to find the midpoint of this. Find that surface. I'm going to mirror it along that axis. Delete my guidelines. Go back to perspective. I've now got the workings of my block. Now I just need to fill in the middle bit. So just been reliably informed that I was just talking to you with my face and you couldn't see my program. So we're now back into this. Sorry if you missed all the fun, but this is where we're at now. Well, we've got the two kind of outer rims, and I'm going to model the solid block in the middle now. So let's look at this curve again, and let's lock off our surface layer so I don't get that mixed up. The solid block is about 5 mil, maybe 6 mil offset. I'm going to explode this curve. Explode means separate into its component parts. Join those to join. And join those together. So I have a kind of left and right side. And then I'm going to do an offset. I'm going to offset it by change the distance, 6 mil. Bring it, offset it inwards. Does that work? Might need to do some adjustment. Same again. Let's offset that inwards. Now with this, I'm going to need to extend. Curve to extend that. Now extend it past the base because we've got a flat there. Do the same thing here. Curve to extend this one. Now we've got problems there. That's not going to hit the base. So I'm going to trim that back to sort of there. Trim. This is now being a bit rough and ready, but I think we'll survive. Extend that curve. Yeah, we're still not getting there, are we? Trim to there. Extend that curve. We're still not getting to the bottom. All right, let's do this a different way. Distance from there to there, 17.5. So from here, we're gonna move that minus 17.5. Now, let's do a kind of like line. Let's do a straight line to there. Then that further back. Delete that guideline. Delete that. And then I'm going to do a blend curve from this to there. I'm going to do curvature. I'm going to do maybe that's more like it. What have I? That looks like right. Brilliant. Explode. I should release that. Then I can join that. Here I can get rid of that dimension. Trim that line back. Great. Now let's do the same down here. Extend. Are we going to cooperate? Ooh, yes. That's good. This is clearly not going to cooperate. You can see it's going to bend around. Yeah, that's never going to reach the bottom. So we do the same thing again. We've got a method now. Let's cut that back. Let's measure how far this. That's 20.7. Let's do a line. Move that 20.7. Let's do a bit of a straight line from there to there. Let's get our angle of attack right. Trim that back. Delete that line. Blend curve from there to there. Excellent. No, that looks fine. Let's just trust the computer. Perfect. Explode. So we've got our 2 lines back. Delete the first line. Join that curve with that curve. Now. You won't be able to see it, but I'm putting a new line in here to join those 2 together. Join. And we're going to do the same at the top here. So I'm going to do a line from that point to that point. Join. Let's join all these curves together. And I'll have one closed curve. See, it says there, closed curve. Cool. Now, this, as I said earlier, is recessed about 4.5 millimeters. Let's go to the 3D view. Let's move that curve down by 4.5. Now, let's remake that mirror line that we had before. Midpoint, create a mirror line. Make sure I'm selecting the right curve. Yes. Go back to the right hand view. Mirror along that line. Delete my guidelines. So now I have, let's hide those surfaces. I have a curve here, which is 4.5 mil set in from that outer edge of the rim. And this curve here should also be 4.5 mil set in from that outer edge. So what we do is, this is the exciting part, hide the surfaces again. Take those 2, loft them together. Okie dokie. And then take that solid and cap. Lovely, so we now have a solid block. Show those original surfaces. Oh my god, it's like I've actually modeled the thing in real life. Brilliant. Let's open up our reference image. Just for a moment, move all that to one side. See what's going on? I think I've actually done it. One last thing to do. Firstly, I'm going to move that to the surfaces layer. I'm going to unlock the surfaces. I'm going to jump into that layer. There's the tick indicating that that layer is active. Hide the wireframing. Select my surfaces, 3 poly surfaces. I do a Boolean union. Don't ask me to explain what Boolean. One closed polysurface. Excellent. So that should be my table leg that I picked up from the dump, accurately modeled into Rhino so that I can make a bespoke design project with it next week. And perhaps make a bit of a mini series out of a one-off design. Let's check back in with the printer before we say goodbye for the evening. That's looking good. Lovely. So, thank you very much for joining me this evening. For those of you in the audience wondering about the funnel, that will be progressed, but I think I will do that independently of this stream. I'll do that later this week because I like the idea of this mini series developing out the new bespoke stool. Leave some comments on the video if you'd prefer to see a side table or maybe a huge bookend or some kind of sculptural piece. Let's see where this bespoke design will take us. But until then, I'll see you next week.